آزادی بیان.
言论自由
Free speech.
We do. You're probably aware that we write reports. So let me explain why we wrote this report. I started working on the UAE in 2012 at the time when they were engaged in a real crackdown, post-Arab Spring crackdown. And the focus of this attack were political Islamists. And the UAE was trying very hard to describe this crackdown, to characterise it as something that was about stability and security, and to classify these people as terrorists and a threat to national security. But when you looked around at what else they were doing, when you looked at the fact that bloggers were being deported, that think tanks were being shut down, that journalists were being kicked out of the country, it became very clear that what was happening was a shutdown, repression of free expression, done under the guise of national security in such a way as to be politically palatable to the Western states which provide the Gulf states with much support. And of course, it wasn't just happening in the UAE at the time. This was a regional trend. This was 2012, just a year after the Arab Spring. And what had happened in the Gulf states was these are very connected states in terms of social media and use of smartphone technology. This technology coincided with the wave of popular dissent that began in North Africa and did ripple over into the Gulf states, most notably in Bahrain, which Mariam can describe a lot better than I can. Now, to the Gulf states, to the rulers of these 6 states, this was an existential threat to their rule, and it had to be quashed, and it had to be quashed quickly. The way they did this was they harmonised and they bolstered their legal systems. They spent millions in surveillance software and in the recruitment of, I think, what The Intercept described as an army of cyber warriors. That was in reference to the UAE. Why did they do this? This is really what the report is about. As Tim said, 140 characters was a nod to the Twitter, to the social media element of the age-old crackdown on free expression. In terms of the legal systems, they didn't really need to do much. I mean, they already had fairly repressive laws on the statute which they could use to imprison anybody who stepped out of line. But we had the passing of cybercrime decrees, we had the passing of anti-terror legislation. And again, these weren't exactly necessary, but what they allowed the Gulf states to do was to frame the situation as something else. So cybercrime laws are about tackling pornography online or, indecent images, but in there you've got these really harsh provisions on free expression. Anti-terror is the age-old tactic of classifying your enemies, your critics, dissidents as terrorists. So not necessary, but essential to framing the narrative that they wanted to put forward. The surveillance element.
آزادی بیان.
言论自由
Free speech.